What's poppin', you guys? Welcome back, welcome back. And if you're new here, my name's Ciara, and this is Self Made Energy. We want for nothing because we can manifest anything. This week, you guys, I want to get into a little side table. That's what I'm gonna call it because it's sitting right on the side of me. But yeah, I just used it really to tidy up my office. Just little things that didn't really fit anywhere. I needed a place for them, so I made one out of garbage that didn't really fit anywhere, you know, kind of worked together. But yeah, I just used that just to straighten up. But I actually ended up leaving the bottom portion fully cardboard because my cat ended up taking over it before I could even finish it. So she's like, no, you're making a cardboard shelf. This is for me. So actually the bottom shelf is for my cat. So you're going to see the unfinished cardboard there. But the top shelf is just for my sewing materials. And I ended up covering up with just wallpaper, y'all. Literally, this was nothing. I spent $0 on this project and it came out amazing. So let's get into it. All right, y'all. So this is my pile of treasures. I have 6 bolts that I got from Joann's Crafts and Fabrics. And they just throw them away anyway, so that was free. I also have 2 boxes that I got from moving. And one was a little bit bigger than the other, but that's all right, y'all. You can't really tell, so don't be staring too hard. So yeah, the first thing I did was make a cut into all the flaps on the boxes. Just a light cut. You don't want to cut it all the way off like you just saw me do just now. That was an accident. You just want to make a light cut through the first layer so that when you fold it inside, it lays flat. But yeah, do that. So all your flaps can fold inside the box nice and flat, and it can still help with the sturdiness of the structure. So once I was done completely ruining the camera angle, I used the box as a reference for how wide I wanted my middle structure pieces to be, and I used the bolts as middle structure pieces. So I just marked out on 3 of the bolts how wide the box was, and I cut it out. I used 1 bolt for the bottom, 1 bolt for in between the boxes, and 1 bolt for the underside of the top shelf. Just because I know I wanted to use the top shelf to hold things, but I knew that 1 piece of cardboard was not gonna do it. So I used the bolt on the underside of the top as well. Once I was done cutting out all the pieces, I used regular old Elmer school glue, and I mixed it with a little bit of water just so it could be less thick, because school glue is super thick. And I just used that to glue all the flaps in place. And of course I used that 1 flap that I cut off on the bottom because it was a little uneven. So that first bolt on the bottom is actually not front and center. It's kind of pushed back because the bottom is super uneven, but that's all right, it's the bottom. Nobody about to see it anyway. Once I glued that into place, I just used a box inside the structure just to make sure it dried straight. And I put some weights on top just to weigh it down because school glue and cardboard love to shift if you don't weigh it down. So make sure you have something to weigh everything down. I set the bottom box to the side and I decided to glue all the flaps for the top box. And I also glued that bolt that I was telling you about that I put on the underside of the top for sturdiness. I glued that into place as well. And I just sat everything to the side, weighed it all down, and I let it dry for a couple hours. Once that was done drying, I moved on to figuring out how I was going to secure that middle piece and also gluing down the flaps for the bottom box. So here you see me putting a whole heap of glue and just flipping those flaps in and securing them into place. And you are going to need something to hold them into place because gravity is not going to work with you on this project. So just let it flow for a little while you glue everything down, but once the glue is applied, definitely find something to hold everything nice and sturdy into place. And don't be afraid to shift things around because it takes a while for this glue to dry. So you have time to maneuver things around if it's not perfectly correct. You see me here, I've been messing with this thing for like 10 minutes. It's super fast on here, but I was really messing with it for like 10 minutes. Once I was sure everything was nice and flush, I moved on to applying a lot of glue to that bolt that I was gonna put in the middle of the boxes. And I also put glue in between that opening in the bolt because I didn't want it to open while it was drying in between the boxes, because that would be dramatic. So I just placed the bolt on top and thought I was just gonna sit it there and let it dry. But of course, gravity was like, psych, I got news for you, sis. It's not about to work for you today. So I had a little sit down and had a chat with gravity, and we decided that I needed to put tacks into these boxes or they wasn't gonna stay into place. So I just got some tack nails and I just tacked down on each side of the boxes just so it could dry still, because no, gravity was not having it, y'all. Once I was sure that it wasn't going to be wiggling around, I flipped it over and I applied a very generous amount of Elmer's glue again to the other side of the bolt, and I put that bottom box right on top of it. I lined everything up and I tacked it into place, because after that first experience, I was not about to mess with gravity again. You see that? Look at it. Just sliding right off. Gravity don't play. Don't play with gravity. And I just used regular old tack nails, nothing fancy. And I just tacked it on the sides and also right in the middle, just in case it decided to bow while it was driving. Driving? Not driving, y'all. Drying. And you see how it just decides to cave in because of all the pressure it's under? No, not today, baby. I'ma support you. I'm all the support you need. I applied 101 jujitsu moves on this box to make it stay in place, and I let it dry for a couple more hours. Once that was done drying for a while, it was time for me to decide how I wanted to put the legs on this structure. Oh, and the cat's out the bag. My natural hair color is not pink. Oh, so excuse me, because I forgot to put my bonnet on. But anyway, ignoring that, it was time for me to figure out how I wanted to put legs on this structure. And I ended up using 2 smaller bolts from Joann's because they were like the perfect height. And I didn't have to cut them or anything. So I just measured out where I wanted the actual table structure part to sit. And I also kept in mind that I knew I wanted to put another bolt along the top of the structure. So I left enough room for that as well. Marked everything out, and I put a whole heap of Elmer's glue all over the bolt. I also put some glue in between that opening in the bolt just so it wouldn't open later on me. And I just tacked the whole structure together. And I did the exact same thing to the other side. So I'm not even about to waste your time with that footage. I did the exact same thing. And you guys, don't forget to weigh your pieces down when they're drying. This is so important. I don't know if I can emphasize this enough. If it is not weighed down, it is not going to dry flush. And then you're going to have to take it apart and do it all over again. And you don't want to do that. Who has time for that? Not me. So to avoid all of that, when you're gluing and tacking everything into place, make sure you weigh everything down on both sides, especially if you're going to do both legs at the same time. You're going to want to weigh down the top as well. And when you weigh down the top, you're going to need something in the middle to make sure that your structure doesn't cave in from all the weight that you want to put on it when you weigh it down. I did also put some extra tack nails into this part because I wanted to tack the leg portion to the table portion, just for more security. At least in my mind anyway, it's more secure. So I just put some extra tacks in and I let everything dry for a couple more hours. Y'all, this took like 3 days just because of drying time. Like, it took forever. And don't say, oh, so why you got the same shirt on? Because I'm not about to get glue all over my clothes. That's ridiculous. Why would I waste my beautiful clothes when I'm about to get dirty? Nope, same shirt. And it says Showstopper, so yes, I'm here for it. Multiple shots of the Showstopper top. But anyways, let's get back to why y'all came here today. What I'm gonna do now is measure out the bolt that I need to go across the top. That's gonna be the whole top portion of the table, and that'll about finish off the whole structure. So I just used the table, I sat it on top of the bolt, and I measured out how much I needed, and then I marked it on the bolt, and I cut it out with my X-Acto knife. I don't know if I mentioned that, but that's what I've been using. I've been using an X-Acto knife this whole time. But yes, I cut it out. And you know the drill, because I'm going to do the exact same thing that I've been doing this whole video. I'm going to pour a bunch of glue on it. And I'm also going to pour glue into that opening in the middle. And then I'm going to throw it on top and weigh it down. And I'm going to let it dry for a couple more hours. This is very simple, you guys. That's literally all you do like 100 times in a row for this project. Rinse and repeat. It's a lot of rinsing and repeating here. But yeah, do that, and then you can get to like wallpapering or painting or spray painting, or you could leave it like this. It's all up to you, whatever your heart desires at this point. The structure is built. You can color it however you desire. I also decided to use a little piece of the bolt in the back just for help with the structure, because there is a little gap in between the boxes. And that's it, y'all. I was done. Yes, oh my god, y'all, do y'all see this? It's just so simple and so chic, and yet such a space saver for completely free. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe so I know y'all here, and definitely leave a comment so I know what's up. But until next time, you guys, love, peace, and cupcakes. Bye.